and welcome to Mindset. My name is Chantel Fitzgerald and your host. As you know, on Mindset, we interview industry leaders at the top of their field to learn about how did they get there, what were their challenges and struggles along the way, and what was their mindset to push through. And today we have a wonderful guest, somebody that grew up here in Central Jersey and is now living in the greater Philadelphia area in Delaware County. She actually started her own business. She has a PhD in educational linguistics from the University of Pennsylvania and has also started her own business for the last 6 years. She is the founder of Vocal Impact Production. So please welcome Dr. Laura Sicola. Welcome.
Hi, Chantal. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, thank you for being here. It's so wonderful to connect with you. So I forgot to tell the audience that you are a communications expert. So I would love to talk to you a little bit about how did you become a communications expert and start your own company as an entrepreneur and just getting started in this business. So tell us a little bit about your story and your journey.
Sure. The beginning, I was a teacher, and my intention originally was I came to Philadelphia to do my doctorate over at the University of Pennsylvania because I wanted to train teachers. So that was the educational linguistics part. And the focus was really on working with international students, those for whom English may not have been a primary language. So how do you get across content, math, social studies, science, etc., when the language facility isn't completely there? And in doing all the research involved, my research sort of took a turn to look at three different things and where they intersected. One is how language works itself, the math, the structure, etc. One is how we process it in the brain, cognitively, what goes on in there as we're thinking, speaking, listening. And then the third is what are the cultural factors, the various other influences that determine how we choose to frame our ideas and why we interpret somebody else's ideas the way that we do, and why there's a mismatch sometimes, right, between what I think I say and what you think you hear. And when you layer that all with the foreign language piece and the intercultural piece, that was really where my work was looking. And the intention was not ever to own a business. That was where there was a major sharp right turn somewhere in the middle. But it was really the idea of understanding how communication works when you put all those pieces together. And when you start to understand that intersection, you can learn to use that to your advantage because you can be more strategic in how you communicate with others and how you understand them as well. And that's really where the influence lies, and that's where my business took off.
Wow, that's awesome. So what is that intersection? And I so connect with you because I was actually a French major, a French teacher.
Okay.
So the whole, when you're talking about language and the cultural behind it and the cognitive part and how do you learn. So that is so fascinating and interesting to me. So what is that intersection? How do you train, individuals and all of those different layers? So how does that help form your business currently?
Where it started out focusing with the international piece, but then what I started to identify in meeting more and more business professionals of every industry was that even if you don't have the foreign language component, there's still communication challenges. I mean, when you think about, do you have a sibling?
I do. Yes,
how many siblings?
I have two.
Are they older, younger, brothers,
yes,
sisters?
I am the oldest of two. So I have a sister who's the middle child, and then I have a brother who's the youngest.
And are they just like you, or do you feel like sometimes, how did we come out of the same mother?
Yes, the latter. We are so completely different, especially my sister and I. We are complete opposites in almost every way.
And that's why the work that I do isn't just about intercultural, international, because you can have somebody who shares your genes, and I don't mean these genes, I mean your genetic makeup, and you can still feel like we don't communicate the same. We don't understand each other, we're not wired the same way, so how do I communicate effectively with her and make her understand what I need, what I want, and how do we come to agreement to get stuff done from here. So it really is much more universal than just the cross-cultural sense in the traditional idea of countries and foreign languages. Just that intercultural, or excuse me, that interpersonal piece. And that's when we start.
Okay, so let's start there too, actually. So when you're working with your clients, and I loved what you said about, you know, what you say might not always be heard, and how do you allow somebody to really hear you? So what are how do you work with clients, and what are some tips that you can perhaps share with us to help us get our message out there and to be a little bit more clear and communicate better and make sure our message is heard and understood?
I think what's most important first is to think about who you're trying to communicate with, and based on what you're trying to achieve through that conversation, are you trying to get permission to do something? Do you want them to volunteer to help you with something? Do you want to change directions on something you were working on together? There's a million different reasons why you could be talking with them. Then how does it matter to them? We need to put ourselves in their mindset and try to figure out what their motivations are, what their priorities are. And then from there, where a lot of people seem to miss out is trying to figure out not only what the message is, but what the messenger should be sounding like in order to convey it effectively. So is this somebody that needs to be invited? They'll only say yes if they feel like it's their idea, they have the choice. Or is it somebody who will only move when you feel like, nope, this is how it has to be. I just need to give you clear instructions, and then I know that you'll do it. Maybe for each person you talk to, they're wired a little differently. So when you think about how they respond best, to be able to adjust your style in order to get through to them most effectively. And I'm not saying you're going to act. I am not an actor. You just listed half of my academic career. None of it has to do with theater or performance. So I couldn't teach you to act if my life depended on it. It would just be really disastrous. But what I can do is help you to figure out what part of you needs to shine through, because we all have different sides, right? We all think about your wardrobe. Right now, you're dressed in a beautiful suit, dress, but I'm guessing you also have your sweats at home, and you also have your more formal stuff, and you wear different clothes depending on what part of you want to shine through in the context. And it's the same in the way that we speak. You have to be able to find those different sides of your voice and make sure that you're projecting the right color, so to speak, so that it suits the occasion and suits the audience. It's all in you already. It has nothing to do about acting.
Interesting. So really what you're saying is when you are trying to communicate a specific message, you really want to tailor your message to the other person.
Yes.
And you really want to understand what their personality type is to be able to translate your message in a way that they will hear it better based on their personality.
Sure. When you think about it, everybody's motivated by more or less the same thing. One simple question: what's in it for me?
Right. Yeah, the WIFM.
Exactly.
Or IIFM, right?
Right. They say the most regularly tuned in radio station on the planet, WIFM.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Exactly.
yes. Got it. So, and with that, so now take us through how you service your clients. So you're teaching them, what are some maybe tips and tools, and you were talking about how I don't know if I should mention your clients' names, but one of your
names for the moment, but sure, industry-wise.
Yeah, the industries that you work with. Take us through maybe some tips that you might offer to them, or some key moments that have been aha to your clients that you've found really interesting.
Sure. And I work with clients in banking, in pharmaceuticals, in IT. Really, it's pretty industry agnostic. Yeah, even agribusiness. I once had a client whose business card, her role literally was bore stud manager.
Bore stud?
Yes, as in making pigs make more little pigs.
Oh, wow. Wow, that was one of your clients.
That was a client, yes. So
wow.
Quite industry agnostic.
Wow.
It's one of those things where you look and you think, I have never seen that title on a business card before. I guess somebody does have to make sure, if you work for a pork company,
yes,
we need more little pigs.
Wow.
So yeah, who knew? Who knew?
Wow.
And she had just the same challenges as somebody working in IT or in pharma. She wasn't getting she wasn't being taken as seriously as she wanted to be in a very male, very physical, hands-on science kind of environment. And she was the lead in this. So how do you talk to the farmers and talk to the the plant managers and talk to the politicians and get everybody to do what you need them to do. It's really tough. So part of it is realizing, okay, how do I stay authentic to myself? How do I stay? I'm a woman. I'm not going to try to act like a man or be a man. But I do need to talk in a way that will have them listen and have them hear. It's not about acting, but it's recognizing, okay, if I'm too indirect and too maybe collaborative and soft in my approach, this may not get through to these guys. You know, if these are people who are going to come in and they're going to tell me what they think needs to be done, well, then I'm going to have to come back at them with what I think needs to be done, because they'll respond to that. If not, if they didn't respond to it, they wouldn't start with it in the first place. So just learning to reflect a little bit of the style preferences of the audience to figure out what works.
Yeah. And so, and I love, I remember reading in your profile, tell us a little bit about those 3 C's that are very helpful when it comes to communication.
Sure, my 3 C's of vocal executive presence. Very simply, you know you'll be more influential when you're able to master the 3 C's, which are to command the room, connect with the audience, and close the deal. That's what it's really all about. You have to capture their attention first, and then you have to maintain it, and part of the way you'll maintain it is by being able to relate to them, helping them to see, not necessarily that you like the same pizza, but that you understand what's most important to them. You're able to provide relevant information that resonates with them somehow, and in the end, get them to that yes. It doesn't have to be signing the check, which of course is always nice, but the closing the deal is the getting to yes, coming to an agreement on where things stand, what needs to happen next, and the ability to move forward.
Now, I love that. I love those 3 C's of connection, commanding the room, and closing the deal. Did I get that right?
Backwards on the first 2, but yes, they were the right 3. Command, connect, and close.
Command, connect, and close.
Right.
And so, but what are the challenges with that? And I also want to get into your business a little bit too, in terms of how you are able to create your business, but what are the challenges that you've had along the way? So we have to take a break, but we will come right back with Laura to talk a little bit more about her challenges in being an entrepreneur, and perhaps even the challenges of the 3 C's, and tips to help us move forward on that. So we will be right back.
Aside from being a guest, we offer even more opportunity to boost your brand. Adding your company logo and website on screen during your interview will allow viewers to recognize your brand instantly. Incorporating images and video clips is another great way to showcase your product during your live segment. Let viewers see how good you really are. And most importantly, there's you and your interview. For less than the cost of a newspaper, direct mail, or a magazine ad, you can leave our studio and within 48 hours have a permanent digital copy of your live segment to link to your social media, embed into your company website, or use in email marketing. Investing in your brand is so very important, and we can't wait to have you as a guest.
Shelter dogs aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write, the ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
welcome back. We are here with Dr. Laura Sicola. We are right back with Laura Sicola, and we were just about to get into the challenges that we face, or that Laura has faced as an entrepreneur, but really the two layers here of what was some challenges that Laura has faced as an entrepreneur, but also challenges with mindset with her clients as well to push through. So tell us a little bit about that, about your challenges as an entrepreneur and growing, and then also with your clients as well.
Sure. So regarding as an entrepreneur, as I mentioned before, I'm not a business person. I was an academic. So the challenges were piled as high as you can see initially. I had no idea about how to market even things like bookkeeping, or how to begin with the structure of a business was a challenge. And even figuring out things like how to get paid, because whereas everybody at the time knew somebody who could use my help, somebody in their IT department, somebody in their risk department who maybe was brilliant and was highly educated, highly professional, but lacked some communication skills because they were not native speakers. It was very hard to get companies to pay for it because, sadly, the second language piece has a stigma attached to it that makes a lot of people perceive it as something very remedial. They're like, oh, we're not going to pay for a tutor. It's like, no, this is not about tutoring. This is actually harder than doing regular executive coaching, because you're taking everything that everybody else has to struggle with in the communication and leadership world, and you're adding a foreign grammar and foreign pronunciation and all of these other cultural mindset elements to it. So if anything, I should be charging you more for this than for regular executive coaching. But there was a mental block on the side of this buyer. So that was a big part of the shift, was rebranding about 6 years ago, because originally I had started consulting about 10 or 11, and the shift was in not exclusively focusing on the international market, but making it about leadership communication on the whole. And as soon as we did that, executive presence, leadership communication, people went, oh, great, that we understand, that we'll pay for. Oh, and by the way, do you also happen, since you're in voice and those things, do you also happen to work with internationals, people who maybe need help with their pronunciation or with their cultural pieces? And I went, well, as a matter of fact, I do happen to have that little niche expertise.
Yeah.
So it's nice, as long as you frame that as the niche, as opposed to the broader service, then it's like, oh, okay, that's an extra talent you bring to the table, as opposed to, oh, you're a tutor rather than an executive coach. It's amazing how people ascribe certain labels to what they see as a particular issue, and then they ascribe a value to that as well. But if you change the label, suddenly it's a whole different ballgame.
I like that.
was
I like
really
how but I also liked how you saw that and kind of flipped it on its head as well, from the international piece to a leadership piece, with the international part being an extra niche to offer. That's fantastic. And so tell us a little bit about the challenges with clients and helping them with their own mindset to be better able to communicate and have that executive presence and be able to influence a room when they didn't actually have that capacity before.
A big piece of it has to do with authenticity. So many people are concerned that, well, if I change the way that I speak, am I still being myself, or am I acting, or? And as I mentioned before, it's really about helping people to see that you have all those different colors in you. I actually refer to it as your prismatic voice. So if you think about how you've seen white light pass through the little thing that hangs on your window, and the rainbow comes out the other side, just the same way, you are the white light. I am my own white light. And we have all those different colors inside of us, just like your wardrobe has all different types of clothing inside. So you need to know when it's time to pull out your, I'm not taking any pushback from anybody mentality, versus I'm going to ease my way into this, because they need to not perceive a threat and recognize that I'm here of goodwill, and we're going to have a conversation and work something out together. You can shift that style because you know how to do it all. And the best example I have of how authentic those different colors are, I have two kids. One is now 16 and one is 2. And when the 2-year-old was a baby. I remember sitting on the couch with my 2 boys, and my teenager's holding his little brother, and he's talking to him in baby talk and going, "Hi there, how you doing?" And he stops, he catches himself mid-sentence and looks at me totally stone-faced and goes, "Why can't I talk to him in a normal language?" Well, I can't talk to him in a normal voice. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
But until like a moment ago, that voice had never come out of him. But it was totally authentic. It was just, he felt it, right? He's
Yeah.
holding a baby. He's not going to say, "Hey, dude, how's it going? What's new
Right,
today?"
right.
Clean diaper? You know, what's he supposed to say? But that was very authentic. He just intuitively knew to talk to this audience, this is how I need to come across. And apparently it's totally natural and authentic. So, okay, and it worked. And he got the response he wanted. The baby giggled and smiled, and that's really all he wanted out of it.
Yeah.
It's not different when we're shifting professional audiences. You do have those different shades inside of you. You just have to learn to tap into them. I don't mean pull out your baby talk when you're in the middle of an executive presentation. That's not quite it. But
That's not exactly what
not
you're
exactly
saying.
right. Don't take me too literally on that example. But the point is that you do have your yellow, you do have your go get it, and you do have your, we'll call it your blue hypothetically, right? Your easygoing, kind of mellow, you're fun-loving, and all sorts of other ones. So recognizing when to shift and when to, even if you're not used to pulling out your this guy in the middle of a meeting with your boss, maybe there's a time and a place to do that. I don't know, but if the other stuff isn't working, perhaps it's time to try it. So know which bags to pull new things out of and try them. You do already have it. So getting clients to be willing to open up and identify the fact that it's not this black and white box mentality of this is me, that's not me, nary the twain shall meet. There's no box. Stop putting yourself in a box. You don't want anybody else to put you in a box, do you? So take away the boxes and just learn to expand your awareness and your sense of who do I want to be? And then learn to take on those qualities and those communication skill sets as well.
I love that. Being your authentic self in the moment and really relating to the audience in which you are in. And I love that example with your son and your other son. Yeah, and he just authentically spoke that way and you know was relating to the audience. So yeah, I think that's so awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to also get to, you are in the process of writing a book, right? So tell us a little bit about this book that you're writing and what can we learn and expect from it?
Well, thank you. My book is called Speaking to Influence, Mastering Your Leadership Voice. It is going to launch on April 16th. It is available now for pre-order for anybody who loves bonuses and lots of free stuff. Even just ordering one copy now will get you the paperback, the ebook, and the audiobook as bonuses for the one copy. So lots of fun opportunities there if you go to speakingtoinfluence.com. And it really is a nice little tight package of everything that I teach. So if you don't have the opportunity to get one-on-one coaching or to attend trainings with me, but you want to figure out a little DIY way to identify where are you getting in your own way? Where aren't you having the influence you need to get the results that you want? That's the question everybody needs to ask themselves. And if they can answer that question and then figure out, all right, so that's where I need more influence. That's where I want more influence. How do I get it? You take the book and you read through it. At the end of every chapter, there's exercises, there's extra worksheets and different resources you can use. So you can really figure out how to take your career and your success to the next level and have the mindset to do it at the same time through the book.
I love that. I love that. Can you say one more time to the audience how to get your book? April 16th, it's coming out. So just tell our audience again how to get it. I know you already said it, but it's always helpful to reiterate just so we can stall and get some time for our viewers to get a piece of paper and write it down. So feel free to speak to our audience again with how to get in touch with you.
Sure, thank you. So the book is Speaking to Influence, Mastering Your Leadership Voice, and you can find it on speakingtoinfluence.com. The launch is on April 16th, but it's currently available for pre-order, and before April 16th is when all of the bonus opportunities are available, tons of bonus materials, so don't miss that. And go order it now, speakingtoinfluence.com.
All right. Speaking to influence, you've already influenced us already.
Thank you.
In terms of how to be more, to be better at communicating authentically to the right audience and really being able to tailor yourself to meet the needs of the people that you're speaking to.
That's the goal.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
sharing.
having me.
Thank you so much for being here. It was lovely. And thank you all so much for tuning in to Mindset. And we look forward to seeing you again next week right here at 2 o'clock. See you soon.